Alrighty, guys, it is 3:30 this Wednesday, June 4th, and yeah, it's kind of holding in a range here. It's kind of sloppy. It hasn't been able to make anything happen. Just kind of drifting sideways. And a day like this is just difficult, really freaking difficult. I'll show you Nasdaq. I'll tell you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So after this London little sell-off, had this nice little rally here right at 2 o'clock, a nice pop right up here. I thought for sure that we had a potential breakout going there, but no, it wasn't happening. Then it has to slow kind of drift back down to the mean, and that's what kind of where we are. So I would just say we're starting off range bound and going into the overnight. We are up here, right up here against the 6,000 and have the hardest time busting through it. The news for tomorrow. Let me see news for tomorrow, like so. It's going to be at 8:30 we get international trade and jobless claims, productivity and costs, and that's pretty much it for the day. In that gas report at 10:30. So just at 8:30 we have news tomorrow. Then of course Friday we get the employment situation. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be a big number. But anyway, so starting off at this point, range bound, if they close below the 59.75, I would lean to the short side and see if they can run this lower in the overnight. If they close above the 95, 6,000s, I would start on the long side and see if they can run it higher. Otherwise, I would just stay range bound going into the overnight. We're going to sell up to this 6,000, buy down to the 59.75s. Pretty straightforward. I did overtrade the Nasdaq today, at least late in the session here, because you saw this happening, that little sell-off, right? Little sell-off, and then a nice run up here, a pullback, then right up here to the highs, and I was looking at this at the highs, and they backed off, and then had a pretty good move to the upside, and I got excited and I clicked in a trade. I was like, you know what? It's like one of these things you know it when it's happening. You're kind of too slow on getting out of it because you just kind of psychology is screwed up, and then you find yourself getting just freaking knocked the heck out of the market. So that was like I tightened up my stop though, so I wasn't that. It was like a half the stop size I usually have. I figured if they run down that far, I'm not wrong on it, and I was. Look at that, right back down, knocked me out. Then on the second attempt, this is the third time to the level. On the little pull back there, I got in another long trade. It went a little bit higher and then they ran it right back down again. I repaired that trade at the low here and had a pretty good move to the upside going. I gave it just a little bit of room and ended up losing like $50 on that trade. I was going to be back almost back to break even, but they ran it right down here again and then shook me out of that trade and then right back up. That's frustrating. So then I figured out, okay, this is just not working the way I thought. So they're not busting higher. They're going to go sideways, or worst case, we may see the rotation back to the mean. So at this point, Nasdaq is just stubbornly sitting here, not going anywhere. So we'll see what they end up. Now, if they close above this area, the 21,800s, I would be back on the long side. If they close at or below it, I would just start off range bound on the Nasdaq. So that's kind of where I'm at on that thing. If they, for some reason, run us down here and closes below that the 660s, I would be on the short side of this. But at this point, I would say we're going to start off with the range bound. We're going to sell strength up to the 21,800s and buy weakness at least down to the 700s and below that one, and maybe not so aggressively. On the bond market, so I'm down $63 right now on those 6 round turns. So that's the record so far. We'll see where they end up. And then finally on the bonds, look at that thing, not finally, but look at the bonds. Nice move to the upside, yield coming down significantly. So they are almost 2 points to the upside. That's a big move on bonds today. Yields coming down and market spreading higher. And that is, it came all from the weak ISM services number. So, but first, the first pop was the ADP number was weak, and then the ICM services weak, and bond market traded higher in a big way. So I would stay on the long side on the bonds, watch them running it up to around 14.10 to 15. So I think that's where you have your upper attractor. And then finally, oil and gold. And on oil and gold, we are pretty much sitting here at it's pretty much at value on gold. On oil, they ran it up here, backed off, and they're back here to the attractor point pretty much. So I would say range bound oil at this point. So it's just look to sell strength up to the 63.50s, rotations back down, and not going to be very aggressive buying weakness until they get down to the towards the 59s, and I think they may have a shot there. And on gold, a nice move to the upside on gold, and then that's kind of run out of gas. So I would be looking for a retracement trade here on these single prints in the overnight, and then maybe buying the 87s here, maybe down to the 78, but definitely looking for buying opportunity against that 88, 87, 88 level. Rotations back up again. But I would start from the long side on gold and see how far I can take it. All right, so that's also start long side on gold, range bound on oil. Back to the ES, and let's see if they can hold on to these gains. So we're going to see a little bit of a pullback going into the close. This last 10 minutes is going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens. Alrighty, guys, we'll wrap it there, and I'll see you back bright and early in the morning. Today was a rough day in the Nasdaq. A couple of trades. One was just a flat out run over. It was just the little weird action we had around the London close. And that last trade I took on the high at the high, buying the high, that was such a shitty trade. I had to say, sometimes you just do stupid shit, and that was a stupid trade. So, and I paid for it, so that was it. Anyway, we'll leave it there. I'll see you back at 8:05 in the morning. Have a good one. Later.